Welcome to another episode of Hooked On Headwaters. I'm Dave.
I'm Jerry.
All right, and for this week we're going to cover lake conditions and fishing conditions at Headwaters Lake. We're going to talk about fishing in windy conditions because
it's windy.
Man, is it windy. I myself have had to cancel several trips, which hurts because of the wind.
Last week.
Yeah, it's just blowing. Yesterday there were gale force
35.
warnings. Been crazy last weekend, and it's a southerly wind, which not typical, and it's just gusting.
We've had like 8-9 days now southwest winds, anywhere from 8 mile an hour to 35 mile an hour yesterday. You can't really see it a whole lot here, but same way this morning on the lake. It was 20 mile an hour sustained, and yeah, it's been bad.
Dan told me there's white caps where I've never seen white caps in the past before. That's how bad it was, and it seems to come on the weekends or
well, it's
near
a
the weekends.
system that's coming in right now.
Out.
We're supposed to get some cooler weather around next Saturday, then but by Monday it's going to be warm again. So it's been about 6 or 7 days now of a southwest wind, and we've got a couple more to go.
So Jerry, tell us what's been happening on that lake, man. How's the fishing?
It ain't hurt the bass none.
Seen some big boys pulled out, man.
Yeah, so listen, guys, we say this all the time, but listen, man, right now in the last 2 weeks, these girls are in full swing. They are doing what they're going to do. I would say in the next couple weeks, about 85% of these big females are going to be done. We caught a fish this morning that was 8-7, 7-1, 6-11, 6-9, and then we caught a bunch of 3s and 5s. All of the bigger fish, even the big ones, were already laid out, and then the younger 4.5 pound females, they were still loaded. All the ones that we've caught that are laid out, they're really beat up. They're bruised up, where the bucks have been in there just ramming them, trying to get them to dislodge the eggs, rocking and rolling them on the beds. So right now, man, they are full swing, and if you can get where they are and where they're bedding, this wind's it's a little difficult, but they're there, man. These fish are hitting right now.
Yep. That's why he hear this from Dan as well. He said he had a great week this week.
The last 2 weeks have made me, it's just it's like you turn a light switch on. I mean, you can fully see right now these fish are doing what they're doing.
So what are we looking at for weather this week?
I think for the next few days you're going to have this southwest wind anywhere from 8 mile an hour to 20 mile an hour gust. It's going to stay like this. We've got a frontal system coming in at the end of next week. But other than that, I think it's just going to pretty much be like it is. Believe it or not, even though as windy as it is, the water's still really clear. I just got a herd of fish up in there right now, spawning and bedding. But they're doing their thing, and I think we're good probably until... I would say these fish, some of them are going to hang on probably until the end of March.
Oh, definitely.
So we got another 4, 5, 6 weeks anyway.
I think even
of doing this, but
especially if things cool off a little, I think that'll
absolutely
extend it even more.
And then this wind's going to change back to a northerly wind. And when it does, just for some reason, Headwaters is always, even Kenansville. I fish Lake Kenansville a lot. Everybody knows that. I always do better on the northeast wind. For some reason. So that'll be coming back, and we have that, and then like I said, some of the fish are still spawning, some have spawned out, but the good thing is even the ones that have spawned and the ones who haven't spawned, all of these fish are together in one area. They're not like laying there like you would catch 50 or 60 specks laying in a hole, but they are traveling in those areas, in those 4 and 5 acre bays that you're in. And believe it or not, man, even all of the fish we caught, we've only caught a handful here and there that have been caught before. These are all brand new fish that are traveling in and out of these areas, man, and you don't know from one day to the next if you're going to catch an 8 or a 10. So it's good right now. It's still good.
Before we go on to the next topic, which is fishing in windy conditions, I want to talk a little bit about that. Just want to take a couple of seconds and thank American Baitworks. They are partners and sponsors of the show. If you use the Headwaters 15 coupon code, you'll be able to purchase anything off their website: terminal tackle, rods and rods, halo rods, which I use. Great rods. All the stuff they sell, including their apparel, with 15% off and free shipping on orders over $75 or $100. So please check them out, and thank you, American Baitworks. So let's talk a little bit about fishing in these windy conditions, because it's been really challenging to go out on the kayak. Again, I mentioned this. I had to cancel 2 trips. For a kayaker, typically that 10 to 12 miles an hour starts getting a bit uncomfortable, particularly for those people who are not experienced on a kayak. You start bobbing around, they get a little, especially my saltwater clients.
Not only that, but if you're going, let's say you've got a wind direction coming out of the south, and you're going on the way out with that wind, but then you got to think about however far down you go, you got to come back against that. And that's the issue with the kayak.
So fortunately, I've upgraded to motorized kayaks. These have integrated trolling motors. But if you're a kayaker, please know the weather report before you start, the day before, the morning you leave, because things have changed overnight drastically. Right. I mean, I've had wind direction change overnight. Go to bed at 11, 10 o'clock. Okay, it's going to blow from the northeast. I get up, it's blowing from the west. It's crazy sometimes. So always stay on top of that weather.
Day to day. You don't. It is Tuesday. Don't worry about what the weather's doing Friday. You need to worry about what it's doing Monday night for Tuesday.
And on a kayak, I say hour to hour. I'm constantly checking weather. So this one tip for the kayaks. But anyway, let's talk about fishing windy conditions, especially with live bait.
I think. Well, yeah, for me, because I'm a shiner fisherman, I think if I can give one tip. For example, like today where I've been fishing, well, I've actually been fishing there a lot, but I was there this morning and it was a southwest wind, and really and truly the wind was blowing in the wrong direction for me to be there, but I know how many fish are there, so I kind of just cast the shiner and the cork upwind. So when you have those situations, the biggest tip that I can give you is when you throw that bait out up against the wind, get that rod tip to the water. And here's why. If you're standing there like this with your hand on the handle and you've got that rod up here like this and that wind's coming 12 miles an hour, you're going to have this great big huge belly in your line. And what that wind is doing with that huge cup is it's pulling that line, and it's pulling your shiner, and your shiner will end up, and then you have to reel in and rethrow, and that kills that shiner. So number one tip is throw that bait out there, and even though the wind's blowing back at you, that shiner's swimming, so he'll stay out there as long as that wind doesn't grab that line. Take that rod tip, lay that line on the water, and then it'll just sit out there and the wind's not pulling you. Another thing is, don't be like me. Fish with the wind to your back. Okay, I just happen to be in an area right now, folks, that it's just got some giants in it, and I'm not moving. But fish with the wind to your back. So, and then that way, find you a corner in some hysons, or find you a hydrilla ledge on the outside of a ditch or a canal or a point or a corner or anything like that. Get that boat position, that wind to your back, pitch that shiner up in there, and then it's to your back all the time. See the wind, folks? Then it's to your back all the time, and then you don't have to worry about that bait coming back at you or this, that, and the other. It'll stay out there the whole time, and you can fish until the bass hits it.
Good tip. And if you're fishing artificial, man, if I want to fish a spot here and I cast it and I lob it and leave my rod up, guess what? That bait's going to come back and probably go where it's not supposed to. You're just going to miss your spot, because it's just going to swim back like this. You don't want that with a lure.
In some situations, you want to try to get in out of the wind or kind of get up in the calmest areas you can. But to be honest with you, I like wind. Even this morning, it was blowing 15 miles an hour. There's 2 reasons why I like it. For one, I try to get in the area where that wind's pushing that bait fish and everything to me, and those bass will just sit there in a current almost like, and they'll just sit there and wait for that wind to push that stuff to them. So that's one reason. And then, you know, you just don't want to be, in an area to where it's just blowing you all over the place and you can't do anything with it. You want to try to be secure. If you can get into an area that's got them where you're set up in a blow by or a blow through or something, and the wind's coming back at you, I don't want that. I want to be on the far end of it and throwing that bait into that.
Thanks, Jerry. So, Jerry, tell us about water temperatures.
So right now, the water temperatures, to believe it or not, man, with it being in February, you would think that we'd have more cold weather.
Oh, yeah.
We should be hanging around about 69, 68, even 70 degrees. But the water temperature is actually about 74, 76 degrees right now.
Right.
One thing that's keeping it a little bit cooler for us is all this wind. But listen, it's no secret, folks, we've got an unbelievably hot winter here.
Yeah.
I mean, we're
Warmest
talking about
in a long time.
They're talking about 92 degrees next
Yeah, I know.
week. I mean, so it's things are different.
We had 2 days of winter basically around Christmas, right?
Yeah, and that's the
That
thing
was
too,
it.
you know. And we listen, and that's what we. That's another topic.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, the hydrilla never died out like it should have this year. We never got no cold weather in time, so the lake went through a different cycle this year. But
definitely,
yeah. So the water temperature is about 74, 76 degrees right now. We've had a southwesterly wind for the last 7 or 8 days. We're going to have it for another 3 or 4 days, and then we're going to go back to the northeast wind. It's going to cool down a little bit. We're going to get some drier air in here, and then things will kind of calm down a little bit.
Okay.
But right now, it's windy and. But the fish are hitting.
It's good fishing. Find those holes, find those edges. That's
ditches,
north end, south end. There's a lot of flats in the south end, so don't run them over, don't pass them by.
Anywhere you've got old existing irrigation canals that were there when it was farmland, okay, anywhere you've got an irrigation canal like that, you can bet on both sides of that are going to be old farmland. Those farmlands have now become spawning flats. So anywhere you have this deep water that they can transition from that 7 to 8 foot of water up into 2 and 3 foot of water with hydrilla and pockets in those flats, man, that's where these big females are right now, man.
Yeah. So before we got one more topic to talk about. This is about Stick Marsh. It's coming up. I want to introduce to you, we've talked about these guys in the past. We've met them. Had a good conversation, great team. Overboardpro.com. They make D-hookers. I use this one in my kayak. Particularly, they go to their website, and Jerry will hold that up. They have these where you mount to the boat.
You actually mount them right here on the rail of your boat. This metal rail right here will mount right to your boat, and then the D-hooker comes off of that. And then they're super good for like D-hooking catfish, or anything like that, mudfish, anything like that you don't want to have to get your hand gar. So but they're a good product. They just come out, and they seem to be doing really well.
Check them out. Overboard. I'll list it down below. Overboardpro.com. Again, I do a lot of saltwater fishing as well, and we got some nasty catfish. And if they prick you, it hurts. They're bad. It's toxic, poisonous. Bad. So this is how I de-hook them. Just grab it, go right in there, and boom. I don't touch the fish. Boom, and they're off. Pretty good too. I wear this around my neck or in a slot in my kayak.
Absolutely.
So go check them out. Yeah, so I guess 2 weeks ago, I posted something on our Facebook page. Check it out. Hooked on Headwaters group page. It was an announcement from FWC and St. John Water Management regarding the Stick Marsh and lowering the Stick Marsh from February through May. And they're calling it a vegetation project.
So, folks, I've lived here my entire life. I grew up here, was born here, I was born right here in the hospital. I've fished Stick Marsh since 1989. I was 16 years old, and back then, when you came out of the Stick Marsh, you had to idle everywhere. It was a legit stump factory. But listen, man, I mean, this place was yielding 13-pound bass coming and going. And then after a couple years of it being open, they raised the water level, and that water level's remained there ever since. Right now, what they're doing, which I got goosebumps. I think it's awesome. It's going to be a great summer. It's going to be a fun summer. What they're doing right now, man, is they are dropping this lake 1 inch a day for the next 50 days. Something like that. May. 5 feet.
May.
They're going to drop it 5 feet.
It's going to look like this.
That's what it's going to look like. It's going to look
interesting. Jerry said this is how it looked like
years ago. This is what it looked like in 1990.
I mean, Stick Marsh.
Stick Marsh. So what they're doing, folks, is this is a project, and they're going to drain this down. And once they start draining this down, it's also going to drain down Satori's. It's also going to drain down Three Forks up off of Malabar Road. I mean, this is going to drop a lot of water in a lot of places, and if you can get in there, it's going to be fishery. It's going to be fishy. So anyway, they're dropping it up to 5 foot. I actually was in there just yesterday and saw some posts and some stumps that I haven't seen since I was a kid. So in the next 2 or 3 months, this lake's going to get freakishly low.
Yeah, yeah. And we'll be sure to do. We'll video.
And what they're doing is they're going to come in and regrowth. They're going to replant grass. They're going to let some grass grow in some areas where it used to be, and I'm interested to see how shallow it gets, but I can tell you right now it's dropped about 15 inches already.
Yeah, yeah.
An inch a day right now.
Yeah. So I made a request to St. John and FWC, Florida Wildlife, to get someone to come on the show, likely a biologist, and talk about
what they're doing.
What they're doing. Just share with everyone. So there's a lot of misnomers and stuff flying around. Let's hope they respond. I got a positive response from one person is being passed on. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll have the FWC biologist on the show, which should be really cool.
I can't wait for it, man.
Yeah,
I mean, because I think what's going to end up happening is you can run across the lake now, but once they start dropping this water, it's going to be places that is still going to be water. You'll be scared to run across it because you don't know. But Jerry got that airboat. Jerry got that airboat, so you don't ever know where I might be in there because I just go where I want.
Yeah, I'll be hitting it with my motorized kayak, baby.
They'd be calling me up on the airboat, right? Let's go to Stick Marsh this morning.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fun summer, though, folks. It's going to be a good time this year.
Definitely. Well, that brings us to the end of our video this week. Hopefully you got some good information from that. I want to before we leave, thank the Davis House Inn in Sebastian, Florida. Great place to stay, right on the Indian River. That's one of my launch sites for saltwater fishing. And can't forget Blue Cypress Lakeside Cabins, right on the banks of the Blue Cypress Lakes. Really cool place to stay.
Beautiful setting.
That kind of that rustic feeling, old Florida.
It's old Florida. It's
cool.
all cypress
We're going to be there in a few weeks, Jim and I, and we're going up there for a little while, do a show, maybe do some fishing. So be on the lookout for that as well. All righty. Thanks, Jerry.
Thank you, brother.
See you guys. Thank you for watching, and God bless you.
Fish on.